welcome back to another episode of the Retro Show. For those of you that are new here, this is a YouTube show dedicated to finding out the rarest retro gaming collections, experiencing awesome retro game stores. In this episode, I'm heading over to London to experience two unique things. The first being a secretive art exhibition by a guy called Connor. He's a Canadian-based artist who has designed some incredible retro games consoles that are based inside of art. So I want to show you around that. And then secondly, London's Science Museum has actually put on an experience called PWRUP, where for just £18, you can get access to over 150 different consoles for the entire year. So you just pay 18 quid and you can go in and out as many times as you like throughout the year to play on a bunch of consoles. They have a 16-player Halo pit, which is great for taking your friends in and having a little LAN party without all of the expenses. And there's a bunch of other consoles and unique video games to explore there, which I just had to visit. This was made possible thanks to Sega, who has sponsored this video, and they wanted to show Retro Dodo readers that Shinobi Art of Vengeance is now available to buy. It's a new, refreshing addition to the franchise that brings stunning hand-drawn visuals and classic Shinobi storytelling to modern consoles. The game captures the essence of the original arcade experience while adding modern Metroidvania elements and all new combat mechanisms that have not been featured in Shinobi games before. If you're a big fan of Shinobi and want to experience an incredible ninja game, you can download the game now using the link in the description box and prepare yourself for the return of the Master Ninja, because this game absolutely rocks. I'm not saying that because they sponsored this video. It is genuinely a really great game and probably one of the best Shinobi games I've ever played. Now, without further ado, let's check out that secret exhibition. This exhibition is located in Whitechapel, London, inside of an art gallery called Stolen Space. I actually stumbled across this on Instagram. It wasn't on my algorithm, it was sent to me by a follower, and the artist behind this is called Connor Godfrey. The title of this exhibition is actually called Play 2. Connor has done one in Taiwan a few months ago, so there is a possibility that Connor is doing more of these around different cities around the world. So hopefully it may land on your doorstep in the future. Connor's creations are truly unique, with a mix of playable consoles, cartridge art, modified toys, and even a dance mat incorporated into one of these pieces. Every piece of art is purchasable, ranging from a £240 cartridge that has been designed in multiple layers to give it a 3D design, and this comes in a multitude of different variants. You have the £400 variants of the cartridges, which are much bigger, and I was told that these are actually limited to 5 of each. So if you are an artist that likes to collect video game things, this is something that has quite a neat collectible nature to it. And then you have the larger kind of playable art pieces, and I overheard that these range to around about a few £1,000s here in the UK. And that's why Connor is putting on the exhibition, to show off his art, but also to hopefully sell some of these. And you can purchase them online or at the actual art expo that no longer exists, but may land in your city, or may not. I don't know. Let's start with the most beautiful pieces in my opinion. I fell in love with the retro gaming boxed games, featuring working Raspberry Pi consoles inside, allowing you to emulate the very game featured in the piece. Typically on these pieces there are a tiny screen that is replaced with what used to be a screenshot of the gameplay on the box, which I thought was a great way of integrating a screen into the box without making it look out of place, so to speak. The first piece I came across was the largest of the bunch, featuring the Japanese Super Mario Famicom box. This design, like the rest, features the box opened up with a sneak peek at the cartridge and a motherboard to make it look like a working games console, which it is, allowing viewers to experience the original Super Mario Bros. Game unlike any way before. Connor's most infamous piece, though, of the gallery is the strapped-up Care Bear, wired up with a screen on its face featuring what I believe is the Care Bear Game Boy Advance game from 2005. Also known as Care Bear's Care Quest, a game that I have not put many hours into. It was not a game that was popular in our very boy-heavy household back in the early 2000s. On the right-hand side of the gallery, there was a handful of more box art consoles, from the Japanese version of Zelda on the SNES to the pink cartridge Super Mario on the Famicom. There was even a Nintendo Wii strapped to an old-school music player. Connor also has a love for music players, and it shows in a couple of his pieces, from a DJ product mixed with a PlayStation 1 dancing game, allowing viewers to play using the controller or the attached dance mat. Then tucked into the corner were two more Super Mario box consoles featuring the iconic Super Mario Bros. 2 and a classic being the Super Mario Bros. 3 game and box art. This one featured multiple displays and the game to experience. The vibrancy and the 3D nature of these pieces is something I haven't seen before, and after speaking with the exhibitor manager, a few have already sold, and I can see why. They're beautiful. Then on the other side, a toy Grogu, who has faced a similar fate to the poor Care Bear. Grogu can be seen with his face cut off and a display strapped to it featuring the original Star Wars game on Game Boy. And while on the subject of Game Boy, the final side of the exhibit shares a lot of love for it, featuring a Game Boy DMG in Connor's style. This was a super cool piece, although this one had the down button mapped to the RetroPie menu button. So every time you'd press it, you'd be opening up the menu to ask you to save or load state or change game, which wasn't a problem. That will obviously get changed for customers, but it was a unique way to play Game Boy games on a piece of art using a NES controller. Super weird, but super cool. Next to that is a bunch of smaller cartridge art in both small and large sizes, priced at £240 or £400. These are awesome and, as mentioned, are limited to just 5, my favorite being the Pokemon Silver version, which was one of my favorites back in the day, but there was lots to view, from a Japanese Tamagotchi game to classic Pokemon games on Game Boy. There was even smaller Game Boy Advance versions and Nintendo DS cartridges too, for those of us that missed the darn beautiful Nintendo DS from back in the day. The last piece of the exhibition was a mashed up NES console shaped into SpongeBob's SquarePants. And you know what? It went together pretty well. Like, it's crazy how the NES actually looks like SpongeBob's SquarePants. So that was a cool thing to see. And then I had to head over to London Science Museum to check out the PWRUP experience. When I arrived, I was overwhelmed by the sheer size of this experience, with hundreds of consoles, lots of gaming PCs, and vintage accessories to get your hands on to explore. It's a museum, literally, allowing you to experience up to 150 different consoles, taking you back through the history of gaming in your own hands. The most incredible section was at the back, a physical timeline of gaming consoles, all in immaculate condition, ready for you to experience with authentic controllers. Now, for those of you that aren't avid gamers, you'll be thinking, yeah, why would I not use authentic controllers? But those of you that know, there's a lot of authentic controllers that are firstly expensive and secondly terribly made. Like the N64 analog stick, that thing falls apart with a small fart. So the sheer amount of controllers that these guys are going to be getting throughout the year is going to be a big sum. So that made me a little bit nervous picking up some of these things. And because there was loads of kids there, you just know they're going to smash the crap out of some of this stuff. And they were. For example, I saw a Nintendo 64 Pokemon edition, like the limited edition one with Pikachu on it, that kids were just kind of like prodding and poking and pushing in the flaps, ripping out the cartridges. And although that makes me a little bit nervous, that is the magic of this PWRUP experience, where these kids can actually hold the controllers, see the consoles, and none of them are behind like cages or acrylic boxes. They're there to experience, and I respect that, Science Museum. Fair play. The timeline started with the Binatone TV Master from 1976 all the way up to the PlayStation 3 in 2013. In the center was my favorite part. There was a 16-player Halo pit on the Xbox 360. There was 16 Xbox 360s hooked up to a LAN party, allowing you to play multiplayer Halo with strangers, kids, fathers, old folk, and anyone that wanted to just sit down and cause havoc. And that was a magical moment for me, and one where I knew I got my money's worth straight away. Putting the Halo ring to the side, the rest of the room was filled with areas focused on specific genres. For example, there were retro Disney video games, retro Lego games. There was even an area experiencing retro Pokemon games too, which was very busy. There was even Nintendo Switch, but there was GameCube, Nintendo 64, and there was actually areas in the experience where there was like tables and chairs and couches with handheld consoles on, so kids and users could experience the first Game Boy or the Game Boy Advance SP. There was even a Sega Game Gear, which I'm a big fan of. Not enough kids understood the sheer size of the handhelds from back in the day, which needed many AA batteries. So it was cool to see handhelds get a little bit of love. There was only maybe 5 or 6 around, and maybe I would have liked to see kind of like, I don't know, I would say an acrylic display with a bunch of handhelds, but then I think this experience is magical because you get to play on them. And a lot of handhelds are a bit pricey these days. This is London's take on video game history, and I believe this part of the museum is here to stay for a while. And considering the sheer investment that they've had to make into making the room feel like it's inside of a video game is why I believe it's going to be here for a while. They haven't said if it's going to be temporary, but they're giving out annual passes for £18. So I think there is a long-term vision for this, and I would love to see it get upgraded over the years with the likes of handhelds and other games such as, I don't even know. There was a bunch of Sega stuff. There wasn't much Atari stuff, but, you know, bringing in actual arcade cabinets would be really cool because they did have official kind of power-up arcade like boxes that were probably like Raspberry Pis or something, or emulators behind them, but I would love to see them bring in physical arcade cabinets or 2-player ones. That would be super cool. And I think between this and the exhibition, it was a fun day in London exploring retro gaming things. And unfortunately, as I mentioned at the start of the video, London doesn't really have a big retro gaming scene. There's a few stores around, but no official stuff. Like, we don't have an official Nintendo store. We don't even have really any kind of retro gaming shops. They're all on the outskirts. There's a bunch of arcade bars and stuff, but nothing to get hands-on with, you know, physical video games, or to buy them or to trade them, etc. So it's good to see that London is bringing in this experience at their science museum, and it's great to see creators and artists start delving into kind of experiences and events in the city, because London needs it. There is a huge audience here of gamers and retro gamers, but we just don't get the love like some other countries do, especially the US. You guys are crazy with your events and your stores. We need some of that love in London. So there we have it, a quick Retro Show episode today, and a big thanks to Sega for sponsoring this. Shinobi Art of Vengeance is out now. You can buy it in the links below, which I recommend you do. And if you are in London, check out the Science Museum. It's super cool, high value, super cheap, and a great day out with family members too. So it was kind of a weird Retro Show episode this. Not really like retro gaming store or collectible focus, but I thought it would bring you value because London needs more love in the retro gaming space. So hopefully, and I may do this with other cities around the world too, which would be really cool, but we shall see. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope to see you in the next episode of the Retro Show. Hit the subscribe button and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.